It started with something small. A faint creak on the wooden floor while I was in bed. I thought it was just the house settling, but then I heard it again. Same sound, same time, every night. I live alone. At first, I blamed the wind, the neighbors, my imagination. But one night, I was brushing my teeth, and in the steamed mirror behind me, I saw a figure walk past. When I turned around, nothing was there. No window open. No one in the hallway. No one should have been in my home. I started recording everything. My phone, cameras, motion detectors. I needed to prove it to myself. Prove I wasn't crazy. But what I found made me question everything I knew about reality. Am I losing my mind? Or is someone watching me? My name is David. I'm 29 years old. I work as a freelance web developer, which means I spend most of my time alone, in front of a screen, in silence. A few months ago, I moved into a small apartment on the edge of the city. One of those buildings that feels like it was forgotten by time. Peeling wallpaper in the hallways. A flickering elevator light that never gets fixed. The kind of place where the walls seem to breathe when it gets too quiet. I didn't choose it because I liked it. I chose it because it was cheap, and I needed it cheap. 3 months earlier, my fiancée left me. No explanation. One night she was there, the next morning, gone. Packed a single bag, and left a post-it note on the counter that read, "I need to feel real again." That's all. Since then, I haven't really felt normal. I stopped sleeping properly. My thoughts were getting tangled. Time started slipping, hours vanishing without memory of what I did. At first, I blamed the stress, the loneliness, the isolation. But then I started noticing things. Small, easy to dismiss things. My keys wouldn't be where I left them. My computer mouse moved by itself, just slightly, but enough to catch my eye. I heard whispering in the kitchen while brushing my teeth. Not loud, not threatening, just like someone was talking about me. It was always too quiet in that building. The kind of quiet that feels wrong, like the silence itself was listening. And sometimes, just sometimes, I'd feel like someone was standing just outside my door. Not knocking, just waiting. It started with little things. Things you could explain away, at first. I came home one night, tired from work, and noticed my keys weren't where I usually leave them. I always hang them on the hook by the door. Always. But that night, they were sitting neatly on the kitchen counter. I thought maybe I just forgot. Maybe I was distracted. But something about it didn't sit right with me. Then the bathroom lights started flickering. Not the way old bulbs do. No buzzing. No gradual dim, just off, off again, like someone was playing with the switch from the other side of the wall. I remember waking up one night to the sound of my TV turning on. It was around 2:14 a.m. I checked. The screen was glowing, static crackling, volume low like a whisper. The remote was still beside my bed. I began to feel watched, not in the way you feel when someone's looking at you in public. This was different. It was like the walls were breathing, like the space around me had eyes. I kept closing my bedroom door every night before bed. I made it a habit, a mental note. Shut, locked, every time. And yet, I'd wake up, and it would be wide open. At first, I blamed sleepwalking, stress. Maybe I got up and forgot. But then, one morning, I found it open again. And there were muddy footprints on the hallway carpet. My apartment's on the 3rd floor. No balcony, no explanation. I told a few friends, but you know how that goes. You're just tired. Maybe it's from all the overtime. You've been through a lot lately. Maybe they were right. I had just moved after a bad breakup. I was dealing with long hours and insomnia. Maybe it was all in my head. But things kept happening. And they kept getting weirder. I started keeping a journal, just to track it all. Day 1, TV turned on at 2:14 a.m. Again. Day 3, bedroom door open. Day 4. Someone knocked 3 times. I checked the hallway. No one there. Day 6. I found a Polaroid tucked into the bathroom mirror frame. It was a photo of me, sleeping. I hadn't shown anyone where I lived. I hadn't given out my address. I didn't sleep that night, or the next. Then I started seeing things. Not full figures, just movement. At the edge of my vision, a flicker behind the shower curtain. A shadow ducking behind the couch when I turned my head. I set up my phone to record while I slept. In the morning, I reviewed the footage. At 3:12 a.m., the screen went black for 7 seconds. When it came back, I was gone from the bed. Then 15 seconds later, I was back, but I don't remember leaving. I don't remember anything at all. It was a Thursday night when I decided to check the motion-triggered security cam I'd installed in the kitchen. Honestly, I didn't expect to find anything. Maybe a flicker from a passing car, or one of those late-night power surges. But at exactly 3:12 a.m., the camera picked something up. It started with a faint flicker, almost like static interference. Then, a shadow moved. Slow, deliberate, like it knew it was being watched. I paused the footage, rewound it frame by frame. The kitchen light flicked on for just 2 seconds, then off again. But no one was there. I was asleep. I checked my phone logs. No alerts. No sound. I should have heard it, but I didn't. The next morning, I woke up with a long, thin bruise running across my forearm. Not like a bump from the bed or doorframe. It was too linear, too precise, like something had dragged a finger along my skin, slowly. I stared at it for a while, thought maybe I scratched myself in my sleep, but when I tried to recreate it, I couldn't. That same day, I found a note, a small, folded piece of paper tucked under my doormat. No envelope, no address, just 4 words scrawled in messy, uneven handwriting. I see you. Still, I didn't recognize the writing. It wasn't mine, and I live on the 3rd floor. There's no hallway access unless someone has a key. I showed it to my friend Daniel later that day. He laughed at first, said it was probably a prank, but when he came over that night, something changed. We were just watching a movie, trying to lighten the mood. Around 11 p.m., the room temperature dropped suddenly. Not like the AC kicked in, like we were standing in a walk-in freezer. Then the lights flickered, and in the briefest instant of darkness, Daniel saw something. He didn't tell me what. Not exactly. He just stood up, pale, eyes wide like he'd seen something he couldn't understand. I gotta go, he said, avoiding my eyes. He didn't stay the night, and after that, he didn't answer my texts for 3 days. I thought maybe he just got spooked, until I started hearing the whispers. They were soft at first, barely there, like a breeze against the window, but they were inside, in my living room, near the couch, at night, every night, always after midnight. I recorded audio once, just to make sure I wasn't imagining it, and when I played it back, I heard it, clear as day. A voice, breathless, hoarse, speaking right into the mic. You shouldn't have come here. That's when I realized. Whatever this was, it wasn't just watching me anymore. It was getting closer. I didn't sleep that night, not after the voice on the recording. I sat in the living room, every light turned on, phone in hand, fingers hovering over 911 for hours. I told myself I was overreacting. That maybe I'd left the TV on. Maybe Daniel pranked me. Maybe stress was finally taking a toll. But around 3:17 a.m., the same time the camera had picked up movement in the kitchen a few nights ago, I saw it. I swear I saw it. A shadow, not cast by anything in the room. It was standing in the hallway, still, unmoving, watching. I blinked, and it vanished. I ran to the hall. Nothing. Checked every door, every closet. Nothing. But something had changed. Something in the air. The apartment felt wrong. like I wasn't alone anymore, and hadn't been for a while. That's when the screaming started. Not outside, not from a TV, inside the walls, muffled at first, then desperate, like someone was trapped, crying for help, screaming in agony, as if being torn apart by something I couldn't see. I slammed my hands against the wall, yelling, "Where are you?" But there was no answer, just silence. The next morning, I heard sirens. The woman next door, Miss Ellison, was found dead. No signs of a break-in, no visible injuries, just gone. Her eyes wide open, mouth agape, as if she died mid-scream. I couldn't breathe when they brought the gurney out, because that night, during the screaming, I thought I'd heard a voice say, "Help me," and I hadn't done anything. I told the police what I'd heard, what I'd seen, the notes, the camera footage, the bruises. They asked if I'd been under any unusual stress. Then they asked if I had a history of psychological issues. One of them actually said, "You might want to talk to someone, just in case." They didn't believe me. No one did. Daniel still wasn't answering my calls. My other friends gave me short replies, then stopped texting altogether. I was alone. And then, it got worse. I started hearing my own voice in the apartment, whispering, arguing, screaming, but I wasn't speaking. Sometimes it came from the kitchen, sometimes the mirror. Once, I swear on everything, I heard myself crying from under the bed. I bent down, looked underneath. Nothing, but the crying didn't stop. I covered my ears. It was inside my head. Except, it didn't sound like me anymore. Not exactly. There was something off about it, like someone mimicking me, like a copy that didn't fully understand how my voice worked. That's when I wrote it in my journal. Even the voices in my head don't sound like me anymore. I hadn't left the apartment in 4 days. The windows were taped shut, mirrors covered. Lights are always on, but it didn't matter. The dark still found a way in. It all unraveled on a Tuesday. At least, I think it was Tuesday. Time had stopped making sense by then. Days bled into nights. Hours disappeared. I'd wake up and it would be dark. I'd blink, and the clock would jump ahead 5 hours. Or backwards. I was journaling constantly. Every sound, every flicker of light, every waking moment. But then, the entries started changing. I was flipping through pages one night when I noticed it. A line I didn't write. "Don't look at the hallway after midnight." My handwriting. Same pen. Same pressure. But I never wrote that. I kept reading. More lines. "The mirror isn't broken. You just can't see what's on the other side. He watches you sleep. He's standing by the closet right now." I dropped the journal and refused to touch it again. That night, I woke up gasping. Because I felt it. Breathing on my neck. Not wind. Not a draft. Actual breath. I turned around slowly, afraid of what I already knew. It was there, standing at the foot of my bed. The watcher. A tall, stretched silhouette. Like it had once been human, but had forgotten how to be one. Its limbs were wrong, too long, too still. Its face was blank. No features, no eyes, just smooth, pale skin. But it was looking at me. I knew it was. I couldn't move, couldn't scream, couldn't breathe, just stared. My chest tightened. I thought I was dying. And then, it spoke. Not with a voice, not out loud, but inside my head. "You see me now." I blacked out. When I woke up, I was in the corner of the room, nails bloodied, as if I'd been trying to claw my way through the wall. The mirror had shattered. The journal was open on the bed. New pages had been written. "You brought me here. You fed me every time you feared me. Now you belong to me." I began to spiral. I screamed at the walls, at the air. I begged it to stop, to go away, but it didn't. It only got closer. I started talking to it. I don't remember when it became normal. Maybe around the time I stopped leaving the house, or when I stopped answering my phone, or maybe when I stopped recognizing my own reflection. It wasn't just a shadow anymore. It knew things. It whispered names of people I hadn't spoken to in years. Childhood secrets. It told me about the time I cheated on a math test in 6th grade. About my mother's favorite lullaby. About the name I used for my imaginary friend as a kid, the one I'd completely forgotten. And it listened. When I cried, it listened. And then it started replying, "Why are you afraid of me? I've always been here. You called me, and I came." That's when I started thinking, maybe it wasn't haunting me. Maybe I had let it in. Maybe I had made it. I stopped leaving my apartment after that night. At first, it was out of fear. Then, I just forgot how. I don't remember what my neighbors look like. I'm not sure I ever met them. I don't know if they ever existed. I unplugged my phone. The landline still rings sometimes. No one speaks when I answer. Just breathing. I tried emailing a friend, Clara, asking her to come check on me. I got a response almost instantly. "This address is no longer valid. Recipient unknown." But I had spoken to her just 2 weeks ago. She helped me move in. She gave me this journal. But her name isn't in my contacts anymore. No photos. No messages. Nothing. As if she never existed. One night, I woke up to the TV playing static. No input. Just white noise. A line of text flickered at the bottom of the screen, like subtitles. "This is not your apartment." And then it cut off. To black. My reflection on the screen was smiling, even though I wasn't. "He's watching himself, watch himself, watch himself." I checked the journal again. The pages were no longer paper. They were glass, reflective, warped. I could see something in them, moving, writing itself. I flipped to the first page. It was a form, a waiver, an agreement, something I don't remember signing, but my name was on it, and the date, 10 months ago. Just above my signature, it said, "By participating in Project Echo, you consent to full-spectrum psychological immersion. Subject number 107 approved for observation." I kept flipping through pages. There were diagrams, logs, charts of my sleep patterns, my thoughts, broken down into categories. They were tracking me. For how long? Was I part of a study? Was this even real? And then I found the cameras. One behind the bathroom mirror, one in the smoke detector, and one inside the journal itself. That night, I tore everything apart. I screamed, cried, bleeding hands, ripped wires, shattered glass. Then, silence. I sat in the middle of the floor and stared at the wall for hours, maybe days. Eventually, I heard the front door unlock. No knock, no warning, just a soft click. A man walked in. No face, just a mirror for a head. He wore my clothes, moved like me, stared at me without eyes. He placed a new journal on the floor, and walked into the other room, where he never came back out. I crawled over to the journal. The first line. Subject number 107 unstable. Replacing. And then the next page was blank, except for a reflection of myself. But the version staring back was smiling. Whispers returned, layered with reversed audio effects. "You were the echo all along. Now I understand. I was never the original. I was always the replacement. Or maybe the echo of one. Maybe you are, too." They found the apartment empty. No furniture. No personal belongings. No signs anyone had ever lived there. But what they did find was the journal, lying in the center of the living room floor. It was open, just a single page, a timestamp from 3 nights ago, with one audio file still intact. They played it, and they heard me, my voice, speaking softly, as if to someone else in the room. "I know you're here. I've seen you, every night, watching me through the wall. I don't know your name, but I know you're real. You're not in my head. You were never in my head, were you?" The voice on the tape goes silent for a while. You can hear faint scratching, like fingernails on glass. Then it continues, but this time, it sounds wrong, distorted, slower, echoing, not quite human. I'm not afraid anymore. I understand now. I was never alone. I was never supposed to leave. You brought me here, didn't you? Are you ready for the next one? Then static, loud and sharp, and at the very end of the tape, just before the file corrupts, there's one more sound, footsteps, soft, barefoot, crossing the room, then stopping right by the recorder, and finally, just one word, whispered so faintly it's almost missed. Still watching. They say no one has entered that apartment since, but the journal? It's still there, still recording.